Tim's News Explosion. 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 Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 26th of September, 2022. We are live on the Wilmsrun YouTube, D Live, and Odyssey channels, as well as on the Interactive Entropy software, which I've put the link into the live chat where you can ask a direct question of myself, or even better yet, send through a super chat to support Unshackled Productions. It is just after 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where on Saturday, not as many eyes were on the AFL Grand Final as the hype about its return to the Melbourne Cricket Ground led us to believe. If we go to this article here, now it was exclusively on 7 and 7 Plus. It wasn't on Fox Footy. So it was back at its traditional Melbourne time of 2:15 p.m. And so this year's grand final had a total audience of just under 3 million, with 95,000 viewers on streaming platform, which is down on, says here, that 2020 and 2021, that the Perth pulled in just over 3 million, while Richmond and Geelong 2.9 million. So they're blaming it on the fact that it was in the afternoon, not in prime time. So there's talk about will there be will the grand final go back to be at night time? Could it be that, or could it be because well, there was more AFL wokeness during the halftime entertainment was the low light. This was written by Andy Nolch after the grand final. Geelong wins. They thrashed the Sydney Swans. It was pretty much all over by about halftime. Geelong won by 81 points for their 10th premiership. And so the halftime show had, as Andy said, they had a group of Aboriginals sing a famous 80s song about Aboriginal rights and have a band of lesbians play the Jet song, Are You Going to Be My Girl? I'm sure this song has particular meaning to the band members. Retired Muslim player, he played for Richmond, Dane Destin, Basher Hooley, carried the cup onto the ground at the start of the game, yet had nothing to do with either of the sides playing. Another group of Aboriginals and ethnics sang a song before the game too. Many of the big commercials featured on TV contain ethnics and girls in typically white male roles. Corporations have sent a clear message. We are there to brainwash you. And Robbie Williams, he was the keynote international performer, wearing a pink jacket, singlet, and pants. And well, he's paid about $1 million by the AFL. He's here for a tour and performed the song "Kids" as a duet with Delta Goodrem. Now, there was a post that got shared around Telegram by Australia's most well-known patriot activist, Blair Cottrell, and he said that he wanted to declare that AFL is really gay and pathetic and a national embarrassment. Well, it's called, many have called it GayFL over the years. And he said, I have family playing this sport at a professional level. They've played for generations, and I still think the sport and the culture is as gay as AIDS. So Blair says that he was good when he was young, but he didn't like drinking, talking shit, laughing at cheap, vulgar jokes, and doing cocaine on the weekends with the boys. You only need to look at, well, I should say, Danny Laidley to see where a long career in AFL leads. You're not allowed to use the wrong pronouns or dead name trans people on YouTube. Bitter careerist woman with blue and pink hair, feminism, Aboriginal racial nationalism, LBGT agendas, and general anti-white, anti-Australian propagandists control the culture of the AFL on a professional level. Even you can't see that, could be considered clinically brain damaged at this point. Not a single player had any voice with the guts to refuse the mRNA shots. They all obeyed for the sake of money and ball chasing television. Some died as a consequence, and the boys still haven't said a word against Lord Farmer. And Blair goes on to say that he has fervent dislike for this ball game, and I find it hard to show basic respect for grown men who spend their time drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes while watching and discussing it, while pretending not to notice the disgusting amount of socio-political propaganda injected into every facet of the game and its presentation. The best thing about AFL weekend is everyone drunk is too high or too glued to the television sets to be out and in the way. Blair is, well, the terminology is a very straight edge guy. He doesn't doesn't drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, or do drugs. Contrary to what people still post on social media, he hasn't touched the roids for years. But it's interesting now that I just want to respond to Blair's Blair's conclusion that AFL is full of all this vice, given that well, we've seen this year the Puritans really tutting at all the AFL players doing things in their off time. It was just broken tonight that Collingwood player Jordan De Goey has rejected a contract extension with the club because they've inserted a behavior clause, given he was had a mid-season trip to Bali where he was consensually touchy-feely with a girl. There was that attempt by a girl in New York to me to him, tried to press charges against him. And then there was the whole supposed scandal of a Western Bulldogs player, Bailey Smith, doing cocaine. Like, I'm a libertarian. I don't care what these players do in their spare time. And Dustin Martin, the Richmond player, he touched a naked stripper's boob at a strip club 7 years ago. Bailey Smith is a favorite of the pearl clutches. Yeah, exactly. With not much COVID in the news, the Herald Sun basically has been like the new weekly of AFL gossip, and yeah, they're one of the worst pearl clutching newspapers when it comes to AFL. Now, Anthony Albanese was at the AFL Grand Final, going for the Sydney Swans. There he is with the North Melbourne club president, Sonia Hood, who recruited Alistair Clarkson to be the North Melbourne coach before this beat-up racism scandal. She's standing by him. And, of course, on the right is Danny Laidley, and who I can only assume, given it's the current year, that she'll be the Australian Woman of the Year. But it wasn't a good day for Albo's teams, the Swans getting thrashed, and also the South Sydney Rabbitohs not making the NRL Grand Final, which is next weekend. But he was there to say, you know, how good is it back at the G after 2 years post-COVID with 100,000 people there. So he was there to bask in, him being part of the national cabinet that has graciously given us our freedom back. But there was another political leader, Dan Andrews, who was not there, and former NBA basketballer Andrew Bogut said what we're all thinking about why he wasn't there.
You're a legend, mate. I know you're catching up with Dan Andrews a little bit later in the day. I hope you enjoy the lunch, and we'll see you soon.
I wonder why he wasn't at the grand final, Carl. Why wasn't he at the grand final if he was so popular? 100,000 boos might have hurt the ears, I reckon.
That's good banter.
All right.
We have breaking news.
Yes, remember the polls say that Dan Andrews is super popular and going to be re-elected as premier in a landslide. But yeah, he won't show his face on the biggest day of the year at the biggest venue in Victoria. Now, last week I played you the song that's taken the internet by storm. Dan Andrews is a fucking cunt. Now I did come across this week a sing along for the kiddies. So today's letter is F. F is for fuck Dan Andrews. That's good enough for me. F is for fuck Dan Andrews. Oh, F. Fuck Dan Andrews starts with F. That's my best imitation of remix of Cookie Monster's C is for cookie. Now, some of you might not like that I use such language when talking about Dan Andrews, but sometimes it's appropriate to swear. And when someone is truly as repulsive and as much of a cunt as Dan Andrews, then I think, as Lady of Shalat agrees, my type of song. So yes, obviously, when it comes to swearing, you only use it occasionally for maximum impact, like when talking about Dan Andrews. Now, one of Dan Andrews' mates, Xi Jinping, there was a online, you'd say, game or event of Chinese whispers, cyber Chinese whispers. So the rumor was that there was a CCP coup against Xi Jinping, and he had been put on house arrest because he hadn't been seen in the public eye since he attended that summit in Uzbekistan where he met Vladimir Putin. So there's been no confirmation or denying of this so-called coup. So this, fact check from Business Today says that there's a strong possibility he could be in quarantine following the country's strict zero COVID policy. Every individual who enters China from abroad must undergo quarantine. There are also unverified reports that few passenger flights are flying over the Chinese capital, and all trains and buses have been cancelled in a few days. Beijing Capital International Airport website shows that some flights were cancelled while several others were scheduled, slightly delayed, or had landed. China expert Aldler Bara shared flight data and said there was no disruption to the flight. He shared visuals of public briefings by senior Chinese officials suggesting that the government is functioning normally. I think it's appeared to me from what I was reading online that probably was too good to be true, and we all live in hope that he's deposed. Could he be replaced by somebody worse? Who knows? But we covered Xi Jinping's continued insane COVID zero policies last week, which is torturing the Chinese people, killing people. You would think, because he's going for another 5-year term in the next month, you would think that COVID zero could only be abandoned if he didn't get a third term because he got rid of term limits. One of the people speculating online said maybe they're just arranging a smooth transition of power before the next party congress. Lady of Charlotte says Xi did not attend the Queen's funeral. He sent a minion in a mask instead. Yes, I know that the COVID zero fans were so pleased to see the Chinese officials in masks. And what is it? One of the royal family of Denmark got COVID, so they're already going, oh, see, it was a super spreader event. But yes, I remember there was remember when Dan Andrews had his fall down the stairs. There are all these rumors online as well that he would never come back as premier because of what really happened down at the Mornington Peninsula that long weekend. But unfortunately, he did come back to lock us down again. Now, apparently, he has been spotted, Xi Jinping. He's apparently in a dumpling kitchen. Yeah, so there you go. He's just quietly slipped back in. He's 69 years old, Xi Jinping. So yeah, he's getting on in years. I mean, the faster his demise, the better. Now, there's been a female uprising in Iran after the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old who was arrested by Iran's fashion police, the guidance patrol, for allegedly not wearing a hijab in accordance with government standards. So there's been a number of uprising against the Sharia law governed Islamic Republic. We're told that this is the biggest in years. Not sure about that, but it's definitely female-led, with women taking off their hijabs and really taking on the morality police there. Now, I saw in some other clips, there was a woman who was taking off her hijab but keeping her mask on. She was still keeping a muzzle that men have forced upon us because Dr. Anthony Fauci, he's the mask god, and obviously Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and Tedros, all big mask zealots as well. So if you really want to be fully liberated, you need to take the mask off as well. Now, the president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, he was in New York at the United Nations General Assembly when the uprising began. He was due to give an interview to CNN's Christiane Amanpour, but he didn't show up because Christiane refused to wear a hijab for the interview. So she just decided to film herself with an empty chair there. Right now, I'm not Amanpour's biggest fan by a long shot, but good on her for not yielding and not covering up her hair in an act of, well, I guess it's pretty easy to find from New York, but she was prepared to give up a huge interview there. Yes, there have been protests outside Iranian embassies all around the world. We shall see where it goes, but Iran's president is certainly vowing to crack down on these women. There's more that have been murdered by the regime. Now, covered two of the 21st century Axis powers, China and Iran. Now we'll go to the third one of the axis of evil in the 21st century, and that's Russia. So we're talking about flights being cancelled in Beijing. Flights out of Russia are sold out. This is due to Vladimir Putin calling up Russian reservists. They don't want to go and fight in Ukraine. Now, this is the question is, where are these Russian nationals going to flee to? Because the EU has banned them from traveling within their member states. So, I mean, you say refugees welcome, but you've got a prohibition on some refugees coming. And now Vladimir Putin, has said that the two autonomous Donbass regions, they're having referendums to join the Russian Federation, and he said that I think he's basically implying in his speech, once they're part of Russia, then any attack on their territorial sovereignty will have a huge attack. And he says he's not bluffing. That's many people have interpreted that he's once again threatening nuclear weapons, which, I mean, he threatened it at the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but hasn't followed through so far. Now let's go to, one of the former Axis powers, from the Second World War, Italy, where they've just had their general election, where, mainstream media have said it's been a victory for the far right, with Italy said to have their most right-wing leader since Mussolini. So Giorgia Meloni, who's president of the Brothers of Italy party, only 45 years old. I don't know why they have a female leader of a party called Brothers of Italy. That's quite that's quite peculiar there. I mean, she is against all of this gender bending stuff. She had a really good speech, which has gone viral. Won't play it because it's in Italian, and we have a podcast platform as well. But I'll just play this clip of her with her supporters. Now, I should say that the result is not official yet. She is projected to become the new prime minister based on exit poll results, and she would be forming a coalition with Matteo Salvini's Leg Party. He's, remember, the 49-year-old long-time nationalist activist politician, and also with former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi's Forza Italia. He's still around, Silvio Berlusconi. He's 85 years old. I think that's how it's pronounced. Leg Party. It's not, it's spelled L-E-G-A, but it's not Liga, it's League, I think. But yes, so she started out Giorgia Meloni as Minister for Youth when Berlusconi was Prime Minister. He certainly is not a conservative nationalist, given his various marriages and relationships and bunga parties. But yes, it's certainly a pleasing result, and follows the victory for the Swedish Democrats in becoming the biggest party on the right in the recent Swedish election. So second half of 2022, we're seeing a quite strong nationalist results, and the people of Italy, they weren't deterred by the thinly veiled, or should I more say openly veiled, threats against the nation by the EU Commission President, former German Christian Democrats leader, Ursula von der Leyen.
We'll see if things go in a difficult direction. I've spoken about Hungary and Poland. We have tools. If things go in the right direction, and people as a body that is always, where always governments have to be accountable to, play an important role.
She's like the Dolores Umbridge of Europe there, smiling, saying, yes, we have tools to, like we used on Poland and Hungary when they didn't want to take in more migrants, and didn't wanted to have a traditional family values. So you remember a couple of weeks ago, Ursula, she said that to conserve energy this winter, the EU member states needed to flatten the curve of energy consumption during peak times. Yes, exactly, naughty design. Now let's go to North America. We'll start with Cuck Canada Stan, where this extraordinary and disturbing development at a school in Ontario, Oakville Trafalgar High School, with this wood or shop class teacher, Kayla Lemure. And this is a photo of her. I'm going to use the correct pronouns, with giant fake prosthetic breasts with the nipples poking out. And you can see there that they're still got their COVID safe mask on as well. Now, Rebel News Canada, they managed to get some footage from Kayla teaching woodshop.
And you're going to hold it with your left.
What if you're left-handed?
It doesn't matter. Oh. It always has to be right-handed, you know.
What happens when you do a kickback?
Well, you don't try to do a kickback.
Yeah, I know, but what happens when you accidentally do? What do you have to do?
You're hopefully not going to get hit because you're not standing directly in front of it, you're standing to one side.
So what if you do get hit?
Well, that's the risk you take. Sometimes the kickback can't be avoided.
She sounds like Adam Sandler when he was playing Jill in Jack and Jill. Hi there. Like, that's literally what she sounds like. And this meme has been going around woodshop teachers when I was a kid, woodshop teachers now. Like, she literally looks like a caricature, or what I should say, a warning of what conservatives said was down the track 5 years ago. Like, if a conservative showed a photo of Kayla 5 years ago and said, this is the type of teacher that's going to be in our schools, even liberal progressives would have said, oh yeah, as if that's going to be the case, but it is in 2022. So Rebel News reporter David the Menzoid Menzies, he's been outside the school trying to get answers. David he's the last remaining original from when Ezra first started Rebel News, and there have been some spontaneous protests outside Oakville Trafalgar High School.
Got another young man here. Let's get a word. We've got Daniel back, and then we're going to go to another gentleman. This is my school, and our students need to take a stand. Enough of this. I come to school every day and I just want to learn, not be distracted. There are kids here who are too shy and uncomfortable to stand up for themselves, and they need loud voices like us. And this is how to get those kids.
Now, nothing as ridiculous has happened here in Australia yet, though there are gender-neutral teachers teaching in schools. We're supposed to call them not Mr., Mrs. or Miss, you're supposed to call them Mex. So Mex Jones or Mex Smith. The parents in the live chat, let me know how you'd react if a child came home and said that their new teacher was Mex Smith or Mex Jones, and that they used this gender neutral title. So Ontario, in case you were wondering, it's actually run by the Conservative Party. Doug Ford, recently re-elected as Conservative Premier, and his Education Minister, Stephen Lecce, I probably pronounced that wrong as well, said that, well, this is what he said action he was going to take.
We also believe that there must be the highest standards of professionalism in front of our kids. And on that basis, I've asked the Ontario College of Teachers to review and to consider strengthening those provisions with respect to professional conduct, which we think would be in the interest of all kids in Ontario. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so he's just going to direct the Halton's District School Board to, well, improve the professional standards, dress standards for teachers there. So yes, rest assured, he's on the case. Now let's go over to the United States, where Joe Biden's blood red a speech calling the MAGA Republicans an extreme threat to the American Republic and democracy. Pedo Hitler has already incited a lone wolf terrorist. So there was this middle-aged leftist, Shannon Brandt. He drunkenly killed with his motor vehicle 18-year-old conservative Kayla Ellingson after a political dispute. He told investigators that he ran over the Conservative team because he was threatening him, and he believed that he was part of a Republican extremist group, and so he was granted bail at only $50,000. This, I believe, was in North Dakota, so hardly a conservative state, and so he's been charged with vehicle homicide. So given that's the charge, probably won't, if found guilty, won't get charged. And as you can see, like, look at this, look at Shannon Brandt. I mean, look how, terrible he looks, and just look how young and fit and, full of, of hope he was, Kayla Ellingson there. An innocent life cut short. Naughty design. It's not just a hate crime. It's an act of political terrorism by a lone wolf. I mean, that's what it is here. I mean, it is totally disturbing. But Joe Biden, he has continued with his various speeches, including walking off the stage before properly being thanked.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate, but for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities where life will be transformed, thank you. So thank you, President Biden, for your outstanding...
And most recently, he appeared to claim that Elton John was patient zero for the HIV/AIDS pandemic.
By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help AIDS fight HIV/AIDS.
Now the grooming of children is unfortunately continuing in the United States, as well it is occurring in Canada, as I just covered, including in based states such as Tennessee, which it's probably the where a lot of most conservatives are moving to Florida, but a lot are also going to Tennessee. That's where Ben Shapiro moved the Daily Wire productions, but it is not immune from so-called family-friendly drag shows. But thankfully, this one in Memphis was cancelled because of a protest outside. The intergenerational dance party was to culminate Mosh's Summer of Pride event, but attracted religious protesters as well as some members of the conservative Proud Boys organization, reportedly unexpected by the Memphis police department. And there was this very angry drag queen with a clown wig who was angry with the police.
Hey, no. Do not walk away from me. Why are y'all shutting for the women and saying the natural function, because that's which is unnatural and in the also the men upon with the men. So this is
Pete Ozyman says, didn't Pride Month end months ago? Well, in some areas, there's multiple months of Pride. Was it Dan Andrews has declared 2 months of Pride for Victoria. And what is that? Next month is, what is that? LGBT History Month as well. Like, obviously, you've all heard of Black History Month. There's LGBT History Month, which I know that Netflix, they've got some LGBT history that they've just released, the Monster, the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, and they've also got their previous John Wayne Gacy and the Nielsen tapes doco series as well. So yeah. Every month, it's a different aspect of LGBT culture. All right, that brings me to the end of Tim's News Explosion for another week. So if nobody's got any more questions, I'll wrap up the show. Andy Nolch, he is at Nigel Farage's Melbourne event. The next event, which I'll be attending in person, is it's finally back up to 2 years of cancellations where it had to be virtual. The March for the Babies, standing for the unborn, October the 8th, which is a Saturday, 1 p.m. It begins at Treasury Gardens, walk to Parliament House. Bernie Finn, former Liberal MLC, now with the Democratic Labour Party, is the president, and he leads the march every year. And it's on the anniversary of when then Health Minister Dan Andrews passed the Abortion Law Reform Act in 2008, which legalized abortion up until birth in Melbourne. Another Dan Andrews legacy. All right, take care, everyone. I'll be back for Trad Tasman Talk on Friday, 6 p.m. Melbourne time, on the Unshackled YouTube channel with Stephen Berry. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay sane, and try not to be driven insane by all the degeneracy that I just commented on. Good night, everybody. Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.